Perfect. Let's get it started. Happy Saturday. Today I'm going to be going over the user experience design for the Garage Pro app. I have a few ideas. I went through another competitor's application, and I have some ideas for how I can improve it and how I can differentiate myself inside of the market. So I'm going to be going over that design today and adding some details on how I can actually build that product out. So I guess I'll start with the premise being Garage Pro. What is that? In the ecosystem of Garage Assist, Garage Pro is the seller side of the market. So Garage Assist is the tool that drivers and fleet owners and operators use to manage their vehicle and keep track of the services and records related to their vehicles. Garage Pro is the tool for the service providers to actually manage their services and have that connection between the drivers and them. Garage Pro is, in my mind, designed to support different auto service providers. So I'm thinking, the detailers, the mechanics, and to start, because I've been having a few conversations with members of this group, tow trucks. And this is where I'm going to be focusing a lot of my attention today, on the tow trucks and how to get the tools that they need onto the platform. So from a high level, what are the services what service does a tow truck provider, give or have? They can offer tows from private locations, and I'll say services. I definitely need to invest in a few more markers. Tows from private, and this is referring to a private property. That could be a person's home, but it could also refer to a business establishment like a mall or a movie theater or something like that, where the property that the vehicle is on is privately owned. It could be a tow from anywhere, and I'm saying this now because this is going to be helpful when I figure out the actual functionality. So I'm saying tow from anywhere, and then from anywhere to anywhere. So one of the things that I've learned while talking to the different service providers is that you may have a tow company that works inside of a mechanic shop, but they may not specifically be part of the mechanic shop. So it doesn't matter so much, what they do with the vehicle. They could have impounding too, so a tow truck could take you to the hold on, I'm going to move this back. Alright. Let's see. Alright, yeah. So the tow truck could take you to a mechanic shop, anyone that you may know of, or they could just impound the vehicle. Usually from privates, the vehicle just gets impounded. So the destination for a private would be to impound. How do they, let's say, I'm going to come around the board. Right now I'm just going in my mind, just thinking about these things, right? How do calls come in? Now, calls can come from the driver themselves. Drivers. It can come from an insurance company. And they playing with me. Insurance company. Ooh, that bright red. It can come from a, auto club. We're thinking like a AAA. It can come from the private shop. Owner. I'll say owner. Right? I guess technically tows can come from like police officers can call in for a tow. I know in my area the police department uses a specific tow company. I wonder if they got a contract with them, or is it just that they just like using that company? I'm actually pretty curious about that, because that does seem like, I just wonder how that relationship came about. I'm not gonna go too far into it, but people could know people, and that could be they never losing that contract. That's real. But these are where calls can come into. I want to make it so that any of these people can send a request via a website, or they can call and book, or the app, Garage Assist. For the website, it'll require a form. Bless you, my boy. My son Wizzy sneezed. Y'all don't see him, but he here. He always around. Call and book. Right now, I'm going to assume that if they call and book, they're going to speak directly to someone from the team. So the team needs to have a way. Team form. And then the app, which is another form, but it's through the app. Like, it'll be an API, definitely. But on the app, they'll have to submit a form and the payment and everything like that. So these are the 3 ways to start. Trying to leave? Alright, let him get out. Alright, so for this MVP, I'm going to not think about the API at all. I'm going to focus on the website form and the call and book form. I'm not focusing on the API because that's going to require a more specific integration. That will require me to actually add some changes to the app itself, and that's not going to be immediately valuable to the owners. And that's what I'm kind of targeting for this stage. I need these tow trucks to start using my product. So I need it to be valuable as quickly as possible for them. So we're talking form. What do we need on the form? We need thinking who can access the form. So for the website, and I'll say the public, this is more like a public form. Public. And this is a private form. The form is going to go, and I'll just kind of see if I have any more colors I can use that actually work. Let's say we're starting, and there's going to be two processes, right? One, and then we have two. For process one, we're starting with driver needs a tow. And that's another thing too, right? Who is this public form for? This is something that I'll add to all of my, part of the services that I'll add for the tow trucks is that on their website, I'll add a form that their clients can use to book a tow. So this will be on the tow truck website. So I'll say driver needs a tow. They find tow company website. After they find the tow company's website, they're going to book tow on website. And then after they book the tow on the website, the tow company receives request. And then after the tow company receives the request, tow company fulfills the request. Tow company fulfills request. All right. And then that's one. And then a few questions I'm thinking right here. A few of the tow trucks I've spoke to, they provide different types of tows, or not just different types of tows. They'll tow your vehicle if you just want it taken somewhere, but sometimes some owners are actually donating their cars, cash for a car, or cash for junk cars. I've seen that. So needs a tow because of donation or I would say maintenance. So need the tow because of donation or maintenance. They find the tow company's website and how they find the website, that could be a service I'll offer. So I could offer SEO web development, could have said web develop or web dev, SEO, web development, advertising, or ads and marketing. So I could offer these services. These are like bonuses I could offer. But let's assume they already have a website, or I work on their website and add the form into the website. Oh, but that'll be that step actually. They find the website for the tow company. Then they book the tow on the website. And they can book either a donation or they can book a, delivery, basically. That's how I'm gonna delivery, or they can book an impound. So donation is being, hey, I want cash for this junk car. Delivery is saying, hey, there's something wrong with my vehicle. I want it taken somewhere. And then impound is, hey, there is a vehicle on my property that is not authorized to be here. So they can book the tow on the website. For delivery, they need to be able to pay. So pay here. For an impound, usually everyone, like, from my conversations, for a private property type relationship, usually they have a contract. So contract code and donation, it'll maybe say, hey, this is how much we'll give you. This is our offer. And this could be scheduled. You have to be able to schedule it. Scheduled or schedulable. And then the tow company receives the request. I would say email or phone call. SMS or push notification. Push notification. Push notification requires that I actually build out the mobile app for them now. I wonder if it's more effective to just start with SMS, phone call, and email. And I can keep everything inside of a web app. And it reduces the amount of energy it takes for me to actually deploy this to production. And actually, if I keep it up here for now, I can actually start. I can bring this in front of a tow company and say, hey, do you want to get started using my service? And I keep everything on the website, on the web application. And then the tow company fulfills request. Because this part is going to be pretty important. This part is going to be pretty important. Because for a donation, what does fulfillment mean? For an impound, what does that mean? And for delivery, what does that mean? For a donation, during pickup, they usually, as a tow truck company, I would give the money to the driver and make sure I have the title. So, cash for title. Cash for title / keys. So, cash for title / keys. Vehicle impounded with records legal records I would need to define what those legal records are. Like, is it, I need to know who called this in. I need to know where it was picked up at, who is the registered owner. You know, I'm not sure if you need all of that information, but there is some information that you need in order to actually, you know, otherwise you're just stealing someone's car. Like, if anyone with a tow truck could just take any car because someone said it doesn't belong here, we'd all be robbing each other. Or anyone with a tow truck would be robbing you. I still think they do robbery, because how dare you take my car? But, you know, sometimes they have authority to do that. And then delivery, you know, confirm vehicle dropped off. Off to destination. I'm going to highlight the process that I want to focus on for now. So let's say this, right? Then, you know, find the website, book tow on website, and then let's say donation and delivery. I like these two options to start. Tow company receives an email and SMS. I'll even say a phone call. They receive a phone call, and then tow company fulfills request. And donation. And delivery. Destination. Basically, I'm going to focus on this matrix here. I'm not going to think too hard about the SEO, things like that. I can work with creating the form, book tow on their website, yeah, I like this idea. All right, this is what I'm going to be focusing on to start. Let me quickly show what does that require. That requires a website, or I'll say components. We're going to say we need a website. The website could be I'm thinking, what if I created a subdomain for every business that joined? So let's say I had something like Charlemagne dot garagepro.com, and that would be for all of these tow trucks to order from. I would even say /tow, because what if they decide they want to I don't have to do that yet. I will though. Basically, I wanted to make it open so Charlemagne could have a car detailing company, they could have a tow truck, they could have a mechanic shop, and all of them would have different forms to submit. So, and I could add that into the form, but I could also make it available here. So that's configurable. I'll figure that out. So you have the website, and then you have an API, which is an application programming interface, which is how does this website, it's really just a form, right? It is a form and a viewer. So I can add information to it and I can see data that's been added to it. But that doesn't do much for me when I want to make sure that people are getting emails and texts and phone calls from this. So see there we set up the API. We're gonna need a database. The database the API needs to integrate with SMS, email. So it needs to be able to send an email and a text. Garage Pro, Charlemagne.GaragePro. They also need to be able to sign in, user sign in, and public forms. Database is really going to hold our records, holds historical information, historical and live data, live data. So if there's currently, let's say I am a driver for Charlemagne Towing, and I just got a text that there's a tow available. I'm gonna click the link. Once I click the link, I get navigated to charlemagne.garagepro.com. Now I can sign in with my credentials. After I sign in, I'm going to be able to see all the information for that tow. So I'll see the pickup location, I'll see the type of tow, so either it's a donation or it's a delivery. I'll see the destination. I'll see who the contact information for the driver or operator of that vehicle. I'll see how much it's going to cost or how many miles it is for the route. I'll see what else? What else would I see after doing this? I'd see, I'm going to list these things down too. Route, destination, driver info, driver info, pickup, I'll say payment info. For a delivery, we're not even going to send that request through until it's been paid for. We don't want to be sending a bunch of, maybes to these drivers. We want to make sure that everything we send to them, hey, you're really going to get paid for that. And if you don't get paid for that, we're kind of taking responsibility for that mistake. So we need all payments coming through have been, actually processed. May not have actually taken the money from your account, but at least we have authorized or confirmed authorization for that transaction. So that when we get confirmation from the tow truck company that it's been, started and then completed, then we can make sure, they get the money now. So my team will be in the middle of all of this too. I was thinking we'd have to call, but we'd also be there in case there's any disputes. We'd have to make sure there is, photos, so payments. The website needs to allow them to upload photos or notes. Route, destination, delivered, driver info, pickup, payment, notes, photos, dates. I think that's all pretty much. And then the person who scheduled can add notes or photos. They cannot update the route or the destination. They can't update the route or the destination. And if they do, the price needs to change. So let's assume there's no updates. Whatever you say is the route or destination, that's where it's actually going. And then the tow company needs to be able to confirm or deny. So they can either say, default deny. And if it hasn't been confirmed in 15 minutes, then it's automatically a deny. And then we could just send that to some other tow truck company because the driver doesn't care. They just want to get the price that they agreed to. So we could figure out how to send that offer somewhere else to someone else. Or we could just cancel the whole transaction. That might be the first thing we do. Like originally, we'll just cancel it. Once we have more vehicles on the platform, then we'll reroute it to someone else who can actually complete it. So route, destination, driver info, pickup, payment, notes, photos, dates. Accessible. from user and tow company. A tow company could mean one or more people. I'm going to go with the option that, hey, we only have one company, and at some point I can like add, hey, this company. So I'll assign tows to companies, and then I'll assign employees to companies. And if there's a tow that is assigned to the company, anyone inside of the company can access the tow information. That's something that we can enable. And at some point we need to add more fine-grained permissions and things like that. Okay, I think this is pretty good to start. For me, I have I'd say like a demo version of the Garage Pro tool. Based on what I'm seeing right here, most of that is going to be X'd out, trash. So I'll start it over. I'll need to deploy that website, GaragePro.com. I'll need to deploy that I'll deploy it to AWS just because that's what I'm familiar with. But it doesn't matter where you deploy it to. It just needs to be available on the public internet. This subdomain is going to be a little interesting for me. I've never worked with that. So I'll see how that goes. I need to get this domain as well. What else? Once we have the website available, then I could, all of the forms will be available on my website, but I can add a button on all of the clients, like the tow truck company's websites, to actually link to this Garage Pro website. So that'd be a quick change. No matter what, whatever hosting they're using, if they're using Squarespace or some other custom website tool, then that can be easily add a button, like a book, or they could figure out what they want to use for the call to action, but book now, schedule a tow, whatever it might be. That button on their website will go directly to our Garage Pro website. On the Garage Pro website, all of the tow trucks will have their own unique subdomain. The subdomains will allow them to book a delivery or a donation. I could even stick to a delivery for now. Yeah, let's do that. Let's make it as simple as possible. Just because I am getting started on this, I'm not even going to deal with the donations. I'm going to just do delivery. I want to make this as simple as possible to it's proof of concept, I guess, but also MVP. The concept I already know is necessary and it works, but I need something that I can get in front of people today and see, like, hey, do you want to use this? Come on, Wizzy. I ain't back. He playing around. Yeah. Oh, now you wanna bust through the door. All right. Once you sign in, we got the website. or I'll also deploy the API. Each website needs to connect to a unique, no it doesn't. This API can actually work for all of the different websites. How it does that, I'll figure out. And then the database also is going to have a few different schemas in it. All right, let's see. Let's see, we'll have the company. I think we need services, and this is not the actual schema. These are just some of the models I think will be necessary. Let's see. Invoice. Toes. Company services, invoice, toes. Say users. I'm going to include this. What's up, my boy? What's up? Why are you doing this? I'm going to include the concept of a user now. But like I said, users go to companies. Bless you. Services, invoice, toes. Let's see. Email, phone. Let's see. Right here, we need users, but no. I'm wondering, how does a driver authenticate? Let's say I schedule a tow. Do I need to authenticate after that to access the tow information? Yes. I don't have to, but it's at some point you would have to. Like, you can't just have. I wonder. I say you can't. That does kind of expose some type of data privacy violation. If anyone can know that the vehicle with this license plate was picked up here and dropped off here, and the driver of the vehicle is, Mr. Benjamin Button, like, that's definitely a blatant, like, if it's public, that's a blatant exposure of user data. But it doesn't have to be a sign-in. Maybe if you book a tow and include your phone number or your email, then in order to authenticate or find that tow or anything later, maybe you just need to enter your phone number, and we'll keep a list of tows that use that number. Or that's something I could basically keep in mind. Basically, if someone with the number 5928 wants to access a tow, or they want to access all of their tows from our platform, then we'd have that information. Or we'd have it available for them to search and find that information. So that doesn't need to be its own user record. Invoice. Okay. Company receives request, email, phone. Tow company fulfills the request. Alright, I need a status. Or for tow, we're going to have a few different, and I'll start erasing some of this down here. For a tow, we'll start having date, status, company, notes, invoice, photos. Technically, I'm going to put so I'm thinking about photos and notes, right? I don't want it to be that as a driver I add a photo and we can't tell whether the tow truck driver added the photo or the vehicle driver or owner added the photo. We need to know exactly who added what, who left what notes, things like that, who changed the status. So that's something important also. So date, status, company, notes, invoice, photos. Date, status, company, notes, invoice, photos. I'm going to say website. Address, phone, email. That's for company. Services right now is going to just say towing. Yeah, basically this would be, do you offer towing? Do you offer detailing? Things like that. And it's services and company. Company ID, basically. Towing and company ID. Yeah. We even do date added. Date created. The invoice is going to have all that payment information. I'm going to use a third-party tool, something like Stripe, to actually handle that part of it. I need to say whether or not the company is active or not. So, active, and this active is in our system. Like, at some point, I'm going to start charging the companies to use the platform. And so if their company is not active on our system, and maybe I don't need to put it at the company level, I put it at the service level, because maybe you're paying X amount of dollars for all services to be available, or you're paying X amount of dollars for some of the services. But that's a whole different aspect. This schema is only supposed to be relevant for the process that I described and defined down here. So I don't have to think too much about the subscription and business model for my business. I need to make sure that the operations for their business is working with this schema. So users, we need to have a name. They're gonna have an ID, email, phone, and company. And I'm saying it's users. Maybe I'll call this employees instead. Because that's what I'm defining. I'm defining employees, not users. Users are more like the drivers. The employees are a separate group altogether. And so we need their name, their ID, their email, their phone, their company, their, their access. Let's see. Yeah, I could say that in a different table later on. Right now, I'm assuming anyone in the company can do everything. That's not a great assumption, but for an MVP, that's a fine assumption to make. Tows, like I said, date, status. The status is something that the tow truck driver can update. So if I'm looking at a live tow, I just got a request. I see it. When it was created on the booking website, it came in as open or something. Let's say pending. Came in as pending. I'm looking at this request. I like the payout that I could get. So I'm going to say, all right, let me confirm. So I confirm it on my portal. Once I confirm, now I start. At some point, I would want to have live tracking of the company or the drivers, but that's something I could do later. Now I start. I have my ways or whatever way I'm getting to the driver, so I'm following that map based on the tows. Okay, that's not in here. I need the destination. So the tow is the destination. Pick up all the things that I defined down here. Driver info. Driver info. So I can even start, and then I could start, and I can either manually call the driver and say I'm on the way, or once they start, I can have some type of process in my API that automatically texts the driver and say, hey, your tow truck is on the way, and maybe even provide an ETA. Yeah, how would I provide an ETA? I'm not going to worry about ETA right now. Say we're on the way. We're on the way. Now I'm driving. I finally get there. As the tow truck driver, I can add photos. Yeah, I'd add something like, what I'd do is add a photo of the vehicle on my truck bed. So boom, I got it. Got the keys. Blah, blah, blah. So I got the keys. All right. Taking the car and the driver. That part is doesn't matter. Whether you take the driver or not, that's a whole different process. But I have the car or the vehicle on my truck. Now I'm going to go to the destination. I can confirm the destination on site, but just want to make sure, hey, this is where you're going, or this is where I'm taking the car. All right, boom, I'm taking it here. I'm taking the car where it needs to go. When I get there, it could be anywhere. It could be a private residence. It could be a mechanic shop. I'm going to drop it off to them, and I'm going to give them the keys and everything so they know it was dropped off. I could even have like a sign, like some process like, hey, I gave you the vehicle, or have someone sign. It could be a remote sign, like not a remote sign, but like a digital signature. When you get to the destination, say I'm dropping it off, and you can either add a photo. So this is more like history. I like that. It's like history. History. So I'm saying, and that's like the audit trail. Say this happened for this tow, this happened at this time, this happened, boom, boom, dropped off at 9:35 to, or with, I'll just say dropped off at blah, blah, blah time. At some point later, we could add like signings, things in or out. Okay. And at that point, once they confirm it got dropped off, now we send another request to the API to say, all right, what do you call it? Send a request to the API to actually process the payment. And then they would get a receipt. That part is different. That's between me and the company, or the Garage Pro and the company. So after they confirm, then we actually send the payment to them. So we would need their payment information also. Payment information. Info. So we need their payment information. For the invoice, we need the amount, like total, date, payment method, billing address, billing address. We need a name. Need a name. Need a name, amount, date, payment method, billing address, name. I would want to see like the actual breakdown of the expenses. So itemize items, like, tax, all of that stuff. Like I want to know how much all of this is. Tax. The invoice will be created based on the company. Yeah, let's say company ID. Company ID. You want to have all of that together because when we actually generate that receipt, it'll have the company's information plus the invoice information. And it's going to say that's going to the customer as well as to the company itself. Yeah. And then from a tow truck standpoint, they are going to what? The tow trucks are going to have access to all of their invoices and receipts, have access to their company information, the active tows, their employees, the services they provide. Yeah. Invoice. That's all the things that they can check. Services. Let's see. No. Services is one thing. I guess I'm thinking of menu or price list. Price. Like, it'll be per company. It'll be like per mile charge, hookup charge, I don't know if they charge more for certain types of vehicles. Let's assume they don't. Yeah, nah, we're gonna assume that prices or price list. Prices, I'm gonna call it a menu because I don't have a better word for it. This is their menu. Now, I don't know if it sounds crazy for an auto service provider to say menu, but that's real. This is what we're offering. Because this menu, or I could probably find another word for it or another term for it. Price. I don't know what to call it. Technically, it's called a service, but I guess that menu. I like menu. I don't know. That's more like for restaurants, but I like it. It seems like the most accurate because we're gonna say for each menu is going to have a company. It's going to have a per mile charge. It's going to have a hookup charge. Per menu. Company per mile charge, hookup charge. Company per mile charge, hookup charge. These are different charges. Item. So it's more going to be like item and amount. Company, item, and amount. Or price. 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 And then notes. Notes. So when I'm looking, like, let's say driver finds the website, they're booking a tow. When they put in the destination or the pickup location and the destination, they're gonna press save. When they press save, an invoice is gonna be an estimate is going to be generated using this menu. I'll say pricing. Pricing manager. Pricing is going to be, we're going to say, all right, for this company, these are the items, this is the price, notes. A tow is going to require a hookup charge plus a I want them to be able to have custom pricing. So what if they do something like, hey, any item, like per mile charge. I'm wondering if there would be there will be an example of someone saying, I want the first 5 miles to be free, and then any miles after that charged. Right? So that will be something to consider. So pricing, company item price. Is that something that would be defined here? Or that would be a rule, or would that be a rule that's defined on the tow website when we're generating an estimate? Generate estimate for company, and they may have their own pricing rules. Yeah, I would even say that's going to be a pricing rules. Rules. So you could say first 5 miles free, and then next miles after that it's going to cost you. Charge. And all of these are configurable on the Garage Pro website once you sign in. And only a user or an employee can sign in to the company. Yeah, I think that works. And I'm going to take this and turn this into an app. A website. Yeah, basically a website, not an app. It's going to be a website. So let's see what happens in the next 2 weeks. That's my goal for myself. All right. Today is October 11th. Next week is the 18th. I think it's the 11th. Boom. October 11th. By October 21st. This got to be live, ready to put in front of a customer to use. Bet.